So the first thing is I want you to revise what we have done in the last class. You also had a task. So I'll give you 3 minutes. Take 3 minutes and go through the lesson of the last class and also the task. Take a look at that.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am.
Okay, so I hope you're done, finished. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, before I start, I have a few important announcements. One is, uh, I'm still checking your scripts. You had the exam on the last day, so and then the classes started. So, I'm done with checking the scripts. I mean, of section one, but yours still some of the copies are left, and it's taking a lot of time. But one very important announcement that I wanted to share is some of you will have to sit for a Viva next week. There were cases where a lot of copies had similarities with external sources or had texts which are AI generated. So by this week, that is by tomorrow night, or maybe in the morning of Friday, let's hope by Friday, you'll be getting your marks in Turnitin. And in Turnitin, the students who will get the feedback, uh, if you have Viva written on the feedback, then you must know that you have to sit for the Viva. So this is mandatory for the students who will get Viva written in the feedback. And for the others, I think some of the students requested for a makeup quiz for improvement. So if if you want to sit, I mean, since I'm not taking any makeup quiz right now, because since it's now online, so I'll take a Viva for that as well. So if you want to improve the scores of your quiz, then also you can take a part in that Viva. So it is optional. It's going to be optional for the ones who want to improve their scores, and it's going to be mandatory for the ones who will get a comment that says Viva in the feedback of the midterm script. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And then for Viva, um, important thing to know is for Viva, you will have all the texts, that is Poetics, Oedipus, Dr. Faustus, and also The Way of the World. And you will have to keep your cameras on during the Viva. So it's going to be a short Viva, but you'll have to be very prompt. You'll have to have your cameras on that day. And your Viva is going to be on next Wednesday. So I'm giving away the announcement now that on next Wednesday you'll have your Viva. So I think those of you who have you plagiarized in your midterm exam, you know it better than me. So if you think that you have done it, you should start preparing for the Viva. So this is one thing that I wanted to share because it is taking so much time for me to check all these online scripts because of the misconduct that I've seen, and it really traumatizes me. I'm very disheartened. The questions that were given were very subjective. If you have followed the lectures, I mean, they were just so easy to, track down to write the questions, to answer them. But I have seen copies where it reflects that you have wasted time by taking a look at the external sources, by taking help of AI, whereas you could have just used that time for writing by yourself. um, and then there are also scripts which I know that maybe has less words or has written less, but if I read it, I can understand that that person has written by himself or herself. They get more mark. Of course, you give no effort. Even there are scripts which are 100% AI generated. So you give no effort, you get a zero. Like when you completely copy, um, not even zero, like, you are um, still it's a 100 level course. When I also take a 400 level course. In 400 level courses, I never face these problems. The senior students are aware of the misconducts and they don't do it. So you need to learn from the very beginning. You're in a 100 level course. When you go to the senior courses, this will never be overlooked. You'll completely be expelled. You'll totally be expelled. So I'm not expelling you. I'm giving you a penalty meaning that it is a scope to do better. So if you receive the feedback that says Viva, you need to take that opportunity and sit for the Viva. Okay. So this was one thing, a very important announcement that I had to share. Secondly, I hope you have sorted out your groups for the presentation. Have you started sorting out groups for presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, Estila, you want to say something?
Ma'am, you have told that for the makeup quiz we have to join the Viva.
Yes.
Is it possible to take it in written? Like, because
No.
earlier you said that you're gonna
Uh,
take it.
yes, earlier I said when it was in person, and I was waiting uh, for resuming the classes in person, but you never know, the political situation might get worse, or the unrest might remain next month as well. So we do not know, and we cannot really wait that long for this. And I've already taken the written mid exam, and I'm very disappointed, and now there is no other option but to go for viva.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So, if any of you have not attended the quiz, I do not know if there is any one like that in this section. There is in section one. So, in that case, also the same option, you'll have to sit for the viva. So, I'm giving this announcement 1 week, keeping 1 week in hand so that you can prepare accordingly for the viva. Nurisha?
Ma'am, the marks will be updated on Turnitin, right?
Yes, you'll be able to see it in Turnitin.
Ma'am, since my Turnitin is not working, it was the same for the exam. Where would I get my scores from?
If your Turnitin isn't working, the thing is this, that those of you who submitted in Google Classroom, or who mailed me, I think you submitted in Google Classroom.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
I have to do is I need to take the script from Google Classroom by myself and put it in Turnitin. So I have to go to Turnitin. Without Turnitin, I cannot give you mark.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
if you have not yet enrolled in the Turnitin class, remember that you need to enroll in Turnitin class, because unless and until you enroll in the Turnitin class, I cannot submit your script from Google Classroom to Turnitin. So
Ma'am,
whichever
that's
way,
the
wherever
issue.
you
Like,
submit the script, yeah, wherever you submit the script, I need to put that script in Turnitin before checking. Now, if you still have problem, and if there is any other student who with the same problem that you're still not in Turnitin, contact the library immediately. Just mail
okay,
the
ma'am.
library and let them know your issue.
Okay,
If you
ma'am.
need a new Gmail suite, get it. But they're
Okay,
going to
ma'am.
solve the issue for you. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
So you will not get, I mean, and notice this, that you will not get any score without Turnitin. Okay. So this was one thing. Presentation is also gone. So remember to register as well, Stila.
Ma'am, for the makeup quiz, is the syllabus going to remain the same?
Yes, syllabus is same. From poetics, yeah. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Uh, Jannatul.
Ma'am, assalamu alaikum. Ma'am,
Walaikum
in,
assalam.
in my main script, I don't know my answer was correct or not, but I just write in my own. But I just use your lecture, but it's still showing plagiarism, a high rate of plagiarism. But honestly, I don't use any AI, Google or something. I just use your lecture.
Okay. One thing is, by my lecture, what do you mean? By my lecture, if you're meaning that you have copy
Ma'am,
pasted from the
no, no,
slides,
no, 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 not copy
if you
paste. I
have
just
copy
use,
pasted from the slides, then it is
ma'am,
going to show plagiarized.
ma'am,
If you have
I just
not copy
use
pasted from the slides, then it will not show similarity.
I just use
Because
point by point, just the 3 unit of time, and then the elements, uh, some elements and some characteristics, just point by point.
so here is the catch. The catch is this, that you have used the points, that is fine. Say for example, you have written unity of time.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you have used the point unity of time, and then when you mention what the unity of time is, when you are describing it, if you have copy pasted that from the slide, it will show similarity. If you
Ma'am,
write it
no
in your
copy
own
paste,
language,
but
it won't.
I just memorize it, and then
You're
I,
not supposed to memorize it. That is not an excuse, Janatul. This is not
ma'am, but
class 1 or
in
class 2
quiz,
exam
in
that
quiz,
you are, in university, no one will tell you memorize the poem and write it. You do this in schools. Did I ever
Uh,
ask you to memorize anything? Nothing.
no,
Whatever you
ma'am.
do, you need to write it by yourself. And also, important thing is the questions that you were given, the questions, say for example, if you had an in-person exam, in-person exam, I could have just asked you like what you did in the quiz. I could have directly asked you the characteristics, or I could have just asked you to write about the three unities. In Since it's an online exam, so that you do not have to copy, or so that you do not have to write by memorizing, the questions were made in that way. Why are the questions tailored in such subjective way? What I want to know from you is what you have learned and how you are applying it. I do not want to see your memorization skills. However, the thing is this, that even if you have similarities in some of the parts, say some of the parts will have similarities. I totally get that. But if I take a look at the other parts of your answer, I'll be able to understand whether you have, completely relied on external sources, or you know what is going on or not.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So it's not just only the similarity report.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So that is about your meet. And now another very important thing that you need to do today is, the announcement that I'll give is about your alternate assessment. So your alternate assessment, as you know, this is of 15 marks, and here comes in the good news. So meet those of you who did who did not do very well in I mean, who will get the score eventually in quiz as well. Basically, presentation and the alternate assessments are the two scopes and the two options where you can score a lot. For presentation, um, like I can say from my experience, or I am very lenient. I give a lot of marks, but once again, remember the the task that you are given for presentation. You need to create a question by yourself. You need to sit together, use your own creativity to create a question, formulate a question. If you just use a AI generated question, remember that I have been teaching for like a long time now. So I know, I also use AI, so I know what AI has to offer. So if you're copy pasting a question from AI, I can say that, okay, that is an AI generated question, or the idea came from AI. So I want your original idea. So I want you to be aware of that. And the input that you will give, the arguments that you will tailor, they also need to be original. If I see that you have given your effort, it might happen that you're getting 100% mark for presentation. So this is for presentation, and also same goes for alternate assessment. In case of presentation, it is very easy. I tell you, it is very easy to get 85%. I mean, you should target more than 85%. So if your presentation is on 10 marks, your target should be 9. Even there are a lot of students who get 10 on 10. So it depends on your, how much effort you are giving. And it has to be your original effort. And when you're doing something by yourself, I really appreciate that. So maybe you have written 3 pages, but you have just copy pasted it. On the other hand, some other student just wrote 3 lines, and I know that that person wrote it by himself or herself. That person is going to get, more mark than you do. So just keep these things in mind, that it has to be your original task. Whatever you do, it has to reflect your effort, the effort that you have given. So this is about presentation. So do keep these things in mind when you select a topic. And now comes to the alternate assessment. I'll share a screen with you. Okay. So for your alternate assessment, um, The total mark is 15, 1 5. The group mark is 10 and individual mark is 5. So total 15. And the groups for alternate assessment will be divided into 5. So there will be 5 groups. And today I'll give away the instructions. What are the responsibilities of these 5 groups? I mean 6 groups technically. So what are the responsibilities of these groups? And you once again you get to choose which group you want to work with, which group you want to be a part of, and you choose it according to your interest and expertise. Now this is the practical part. You can think about so far what we have done in this course. Your assignment was a practical part where you had to, watch a theatrical performance and write a review. This alternate assessment is a practical part where you need to now produce theatrical performance. So uh, the first thing is, as a section, you need to choose one particular drama or one particular scene that you will be producing. The performance will be of 15 minutes, 15 minutes, and it is up to your section jointly. Today I'll take a vote and I'll see which drama you want to work on. So I'll just to let you know that section 1 chose Dr. Faustus. So section 1 chose Dr. Faustus. Now it's up to you which one you want to choose. So after sharing all these tasks, I'll also give you a little idea about the fourth drama, Death of a Salesman. If you want to work on Death of a Salesman, you can do that as well. So you need to choose one drama, and then the second thing is you need to form your groups. So each group will consist of 5 to 6 members, and each group will be responsible for one particular task for the production. So I'll talk about these tasks now. As you can see, Group 1 will be responsible for PR, that is public relations, playbill, creation of a playbill, and for promotions. Now, how many of you remember what a playbill is?
Ma'am, it is a small paper where all the cast's name, the makeup artist's name actually been written there, and it'll be a summary of the play.
Right. So playbill is like a pamphlet or a leaflet that has a little bit of synopsis or plot of the play. And then along with it, you have the venue, you have the date of the play, when and where it is going to be performed. So for creating a playbill, you also need some illustrations. You have to have some particular set of skills. If you have the skill of maybe animations or illustrations, the digital illustrations, you can think about joining this group. And then in the content of playbill, you have a list of characters and then a list of the cast as well. So you give the playbill to the audience before the play starts, so that the audience have some idea about what's going to happen in that particular play. So this group will be responsible for that playbill. This group will be responsible for promotion, so maybe on Facebook, or maybe by circulating a mail or notice, you want to let people know that you are staging this show, so that people can come to enjoy your show. So that is also going to be a task of this group. And then you also need to create a poster, so you need to design a poster. That is also a part of circulation and promotion. So like each semester, when the drama show takes place, in the notice boards of Brac, you put that poster on so that people can get to know about the drama and that they can come to watch it. So these will be the tasks of group 1. And then of course, you while creating the draft, you'll have to show it to me, and then I'll finalize it, and then you'll go for printing it. Okay. Now, um, another very important thing to remember, for the alternate assessment, that is for 15 marks, you will be marked for around 5 weeks. That is starting from next week. I'll track the progress of each student, what you're contributing. Like each class, I'll ask you, what is the progress? Tell me what you have done. And there's going to be a written documentation as well to keep the progress, to track the progress. So it's not like this that on the day of the final production, you'll be marked. You'll be marked before the production, and it's going to be a continuous process. Okay. This is same for all the groups. For group 2, see, group 2 will be responsible for the costumes, makeups, and props of the production. So group 2 needs to talk to all the performers. Group 2 needs to make a list of all the products that they will be needing. They have to customize the products. Remember one thing, you are highly advised not to purchase. So you do not go for buying stuffs, rather you create them, you use your creativity, you do some recycling, you borrow products, maybe costumes, and you do some DIY. So if you're interested in crafting, if you're interested in DIYs, this is the group that you must be in. Um, then if you're interested in makeup, this is the group where you have to be. So on the day of the performance, so there's going to be a day of performance and there's going to be a day of rehearsal as well. So on the day of rehearsal and on the day of performance, one or two of the members of this group will also be responsible for the makeup of the performers. The performers will be busy rehearsing, and the performers will be coordinating among each other. So this is where group 2 will help the performers with their makeups, with their costumes, and also the props. So but once you choose play or a particular scene, you need to make a list of what props will be needed. Say for example, if you are choosing Oedipus Rex, then maybe you would need a crown for the king, a, a crown for the queen. You'd maybe need a brooch by which Jocasta blinds herself. You might be needing a baby, I mean, a prop baby. Don't bring a real one. So, baby to show Oedipus as a baby. So these are the props. And then maybe you would need a sword to show the fight between Oedipus and King Laius. So things like that. So you need to, again, DIY for the props. So these are the tasks for group 2. Group 3. So group 3 will be responsible for stage management, music, and lights. Now, keep this in mind that as of yet, we will start preparing, keeping in mind that maybe uh, you might have this drama performance online. You might have it in person as well, depending on the political situation and the unrest. If it gets better, we will of course be moving to the campus, but if not, then maybe you can have it online. So the preparations will start online. In case of online as well, you need to prepare for the music, you need to prepare the background, what is going to happen, what not, when, who is going to come, who's going to be muted, who's going to be unmuted, in case of online. So those will fall under stage management. Music is very important in terms of a theatrical performance, because it might happen that you want a live performance, a live music. That is possible. I'm sure in this class there are people who sings or who plays an instrument. Is there anyone who plays any musical instrument in the class?
I do, ma'am.
Nikita,
Yes, ma'am, I can.
what do you play?
Ma'am, harmonium or guitar sometimes, but not uh, so well, and
Okay.
tanpura.
Oh, wow. Tanpura too. That's brilliant. What about others? Guitar, I think a lot of you, I mean, might be playing guitar.
Ma'am, I saw Jotham playing guitar.
Where is Jotham? Jotham Baroi is not here. Okay. So yes, you can talk with your friends and see who can be a part of it or who wants to be a part of it. So that can also happen. You can think about improvising because this is very important in terms of a theatrical performance. You do not always just use already prevailing music as a background. Also, another thing to keep in mind, say for a 15 minutes performance, you always need some sort of background music going on. So there will be dialogues, but you'll still need some background music. Otherwise, it becomes very plain. It becomes very monotonous. So this group will have a huge task. You need to prepare the music. You need to customize that music. Maybe cut some from there, cut some from here. So who are experts or who knows a little bit of editing audios, can choose this group, which is very crucial. Then ensure proper stage management. This is, as I said, if it is in person, then maybe for one particular scene, maybe you need some chair or table, and then for the next scene you do not need it. So sometimes it might happen that the performer, while coming out of the stage, can carry that prop or carry that chair out, but sometimes it might happen that the performer can't. So this is where the stage management need to help with or need to assist with bringing in and out the props during the show. Light and sound check, also light management. It might happen that there is a particular scene where you need where you need to turn off the lights. So this particular group is responsible for that as well. The next two groups are the performers group. So those of you who are interested in performing, even the ones who are maybe who can dance, who can sing, feel free to join this group. So here you need to coordinate with everyone. You need to say for example, you need to let group 2, group 3 know about what things you need. You also need to let group 1 know about which character you are playing so that they can put you in the list. And then you need to hold practice sessions, coordinate with everyone. You need to work on your dialogues. So this is very important. Say, I can give you some example. For example, say in Oedipus Rex, the dialogues are huge. You have one dialogue which is almost say 1 page long or half a page. Now that is very tricky for one person to memorize, that too in that language. It's not a very colloquial language. The words are very, we are not quite similar. We are not quite familiar with those words. So it might become very tricky. So in these cases, you need to improvise the dialogues. So improvise the dialogues, make it convenient and easier for you so that you can remember them. And of course, you need to practice them. Again, here I would like to also share one of my experiences. If it is online, because now, as I said, you will start preparing, keeping in mind that you might have the performance online. So I can share about one of my experiences. Like when I was a student, when I basically started going to the theaters. I became a fan and I used to go to the theaters a lot. But then um, there was a time when the theaters were shut down. I mean, you remember we were talking about this when we started restoration,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
theaters were closed. But that was in restoration. But I also saw a period when theaters were closed. Can you guess when?
The COVID time.
COVID time, right? Pandemic. So during lockdown, of course, the theaters were closed. And I remember when I used to just sit at home, I used to feel so sad that, oh, gone are those days. So then during pandemic, there was an event, an online event, because back in those time, all the events were online. And in that event, there was a part where there was an online theatrical performance, and it was by uh, a theatrical club of one university from India. And I joined that event to see, like, that was my first experience of an online theatrical performance. And I remember that, I mean, I felt so good. I mean, being able to watch a theatrical performance after such a long time. And uh, the important takeaway from there, or what I learned from that theatrical, by watching that theatrical performance, was this: that, how they improvised everything so well, because now they were online. So they were performing from, all the characters, they were individually in their own setup. They were distantly, virtually performing. And I remember that they tailored their dialogues accordingly. you know that particular drama was on the topic of preparation for a theatrical performance. So they were basically portraying how a group of performers prepare, what are the challenges they face. And also they had a lot of comic scenes. They had performances, they had dances, songs, singings, and music, and a lot of things. So
Ma'am,
that one of
if
the very,
it's
yes, Naresh.
if it's online, like, can you give us some ideas or what to do because we are very unfamiliar with it?
Of course, of course. You see, from the next week, every day we will keep 15 to 20 minutes time to discuss about this alternate assessment. Okay, so we will be sharing our progresses. I mean, you will be sharing your progresses. You will be, suggesting ideas, how to make it more interesting. So we'll work on it. Now, I can give you one example since you asked. Like, one of the interesting improvisation that I saw in that online performance was this: that, in their dialogue, they also incorporated power cut. Say, for example, it might happen you suddenly have a weak connection, or you suddenly your electricity is gone. So what do you do? So I saw one of the characters who had power failure, and who also had a very unstable internet from the very start. I mean, that character was portraying that. And that character had stable internet, but that character was pretending like, as if, her words are stuck, and as if she's facing problems. So that is how they improvise the dialogues. You can think about that as well. Say, for example, you're talking about, or if you take character if you take a character like, say, Seven Deadly Sins. If you take the character of Sloth, then maybe Sloth can be that character with the unstable internet connection. Sloth is sleeping, yeah, and Sloth's connection is equally lazy. So things like that, you can improvise. So dialogues, scenes, ideas, you can improvise. Then, in case of The Way of the World as well, you can think about Petulant and Witwoud, who are always drunk. They can have a hilarious part. They can have that. Then you can have a power cut as well. So whatever happens, you need to improvise your script in such a way that the audience does not have uh, or audience has no idea that, okay, something's wrong at that end. So you need to be very act, you need to be very active and very prompt about handling the situation. Okay. So we'll talk more about it. Let's go to the next group. So this is the final group, the last group, which is a group of reporters. This is group 6. So in this group will basically be responsible for reporting about the progresses. So in this group, there will be 5 members, and each member of this group will be responsible for tracking the progress of one particular group. So each member of this group will be creating an Excel file, and in Excel file, they will say, for example, one reporter is responsible for group 1. So in that Excel file, that reporter will have to write the names of each of the students who are there in group 1, and week wise will be tracking the progress, like what did the student do for the alternate assessment this week, and then what did the student do in the next week. So that progress will be tracked by the reporter, and the reporter will submit that report to me. And as I said, that your mark will be not on the will not be given on the performance day. You'll get it before. I mean, you'll be marked throughout for your contribution. So this is the report that I will take help from while giving marks. But at the same time, I'll not completely rely on this report. Of course, I'll also, ask about the progresses and track the progresses myself. But this is going to be one thing. So each reporter will be working on an Excel file. So I'll get 5 Excel files from this report. And after that, the reporter will also have to write a brief summary of what the entire group has done, and a few more important tasks, like all this Excel work will be done before the performance. On the day of the performance, this group will be responsible for taking pictures, photos, basically for documentation, or taking videos of the performance. So if it is online also you can take screenshots of the performance and work on it. So these are the tasks for group 6. So these were
Ma'am,
the few instructions. Yes, Marisha?
about the dialogue writing and the script, so will the performers do that? Like each write their own dialogues?
Okay. So for dialogues, so what is like group 4 and 5, the performers, they will all sit together. But before that, as a section, you need to choose which particular drama and which particular scene are you going to work on. Then all these performers will sit together, divide their roles, divide which character who is going to play, and choose from the particular drama that, okay, these particular scenes, and then you improvise. Here, group 4, apart from group 4 and 5, group 3 also has a role to play, since they are, in stage management. So the ones who are in stage management, it might happen that you are interested in editing, or you are interested in creative writing, but you are not interested in performance. So then you can go to group 3 under stage management. Stage management also is like the director of a play. So you can work as a director. So in that case, what does a director do? A director does not perform. A director, directs the play. So stage management can do that. So apart from the performers, stage management also can help in the dialogues, in improvising the dialogues. Okay, Istila?
Ma'am, I have a question about the report writing. Like you have, I didn't get the thing properly. That like how I'm gonna write the whole thing, man. Uh, in which format I have to submit it to you?
Uh, the report will be on an Excel. Well, I can show you like how you need to do it. Um, okay, I'll go to the details later. Just let me give you a brief idea. Say you open an Excel sheet. Okay, wait. say this is an Excel sheet. I hope you can see it. So if you open, open a spreadsheet, say you are responsible for group 1. So you just name it that, group 1 progress check, and then you need to include, say, the ID of the student who you are going to track. So, well, I do not know, some ID, the name of the student, and then say, for example, week 1. So week 1, under week 1, what tasks he or she has done. Then over here, week 2. Say in week 1, first of all, you need to decide. So decided on dot dot dot. Then what more? So you just go and keep on adding, and then week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. So in week 5, it's going to end basically. Okay. So in week 5, it's going to end. And after that, so this is, say, for example, you have till this, and then this is where you need to add the other students, and then, do the same thing. It's clear?
It's like, ma'am, I have to keep the record of each student, but what if two or three students doing the same thing together in a group? Like
Yeah, you will,
inside a
you
group
will,
they are doing the things together. So
mhm.
in that
No
case, how I'm
problem. You
gonna
will,
write?
you will repeat it. You will repeat it under that student's name as well. It's fine.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
But you see, say, for example, in group 1, okay, say, for group 1, you need to create a playbill, you need to create a poster. So let me go to group 1, see, where is it? Now, of course, all the students will be doing it together, right? But when you start doing it, you will see that one person needs to work on the illustration, one person needs to collect the contents, one person needs to write the synopsis, one person needs to, format it. So there are different tasks. And once you start doing it, you will see that you need to divide these tasks among yourselves. So who is doing what? This is what has to be informed to the reporter, and this is what the reporter is going to write in the report. Okay. And so today is basically, today's Wednesday. On next Monday, the first thing that you will be doing is you will be registering for which group you want to work with. Uh, so your group today, what are the groups and what are the tasks. So remember one thing, in case of presentations, it might happen that, okay, you are friends with someone and you want to work with that someone, and you create that presentation group. But in case of alternate assessment, remember, friendship is okay, but more important is what is your interest? What are you interested in? Where do you think you can contribute? If you think you are good at illustrations, you are good at, Canva or something, then you go with group 1. So your expertise over here, the place where you can contribute more should be your target. Sumaya?
Ma'am, I want to join to group 2, but how will I be able to work with makeup if it's going to be online?
Yeah, if it is online, then maybe that is going to be an issue with the makeup. So yeah, we can figure that out. But for costumes and everything, you can work on that.
Okay, ma'am,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. And so basically, in the next class, the registration, you'll do it in the class while you are in the class. So remember that before next class, you need to have it decided that which group you want to work with. Okay. And once the registration is complete, the ones who will be in group 6, you will then be responsible for keeping the progress check. So that will start from next Monday. Farzana?
Ma'am, Can we, before the next class, can we decide that for the alternative assessment, the members of the groups, and send you the Google Docs with the names and IDs? Is that will be okay?
Um, I do not know. Like, will it be possible for all of you to sit together? If you
Ma'am, we're
think
gonna
you
take
want
a
to do
poll.
it, you are going to take a
Ma'am, we're
poll.
gonna take Yes, ma'am. Madam, we're gonna decide in our
Yes, you
messenger
can do
group
that.
after 2, 3
Yeah,
days,
you
then we're
can
gonna
do that.
let you know.
If yes, if you think that that is possible, of course you can do it, no problem. Then maybe I'll go through it in the next class. Okay, you can
Ma'am,
take it in the next
can you
classes.
repeat the work of group 2?
Group two. I'll share this slide with you. I'll upload it in the Google Classroom. You can see it. So in group two, like as I said, if you're interested in crafting, if you're interested in designing, then this is the group where you want to be. So here, one thing is you need to work, you need to recycle, you need to create the costumes, you need to collect the costumes, maybe borrow the costumes from someone. And then if it is online, then you'll also have to make sure that your friend has that costume. Okay. And then the props, say as I mentioned, that if you need a crown, you need to arrange or make that crown. So in most of the cases, you'll see that these props are made from cockshed. So yes, you need to basically go for DIY for group three. Sorry, for group two. And another thing that I wanted to mention, I forgot. Okay, no worries. Like we'll have time, and whatever issue comes up, we will keep on discussing them throughout the next classes. You just have one more text left, which is death of a salesman. So during these classes, during, as I said, during all the classes from the next day, we will keep 15 to 20 minutes just to talk about the alternate assessment. Okay, now the next task is to choose which drama you are going to work on, and this is what you will do today. So, like for section one, they chose Dr. Faustus. Now for you, I'll take a vote which drama you want to work on. But before that, I'll give you some idea about Death of a Salesman, since we did not, start it yet. So, Death of a Salesman is a modern drama. Like, we started Oedipus with ancient Greek. Then we had Renaissance. Now we are doing Restoration. And the fourth drama is a modern drama. And this modern period starts, during the World War. So it's during the World War. And there are a lot of crises that these modern people are facing. So in that particular tragedy, once again, death of a salesman is a tragedy. So in that particular tragedy, we see the main character who is the salesman. So he's a salesman, he's a struggling salesman, and he every day, he wakes up and he's struggling. He's already old, he has two sons, and he's struggling to earn, he's struggling to live up to the expectations of the society uh, and his family. He's failing to provide well for his family. And at the same time, America is going through a lot of changes because it's the post-world war situation. So there are a lot of changes in economy. There are a lot of changes in the lifestyles of people. So it makes the character a little frustrated. He knows that whatever he has dreamt of is probably not going to go well. He cannot fulfill his dreams, and then finally we see that he dies. He dies, and that is also out of choice. He makes his own choice of dying, and at the cost of what that comes along. So that is about death of a salesman. Just some idea. And I do not know if you have followed any of the theatrical groups. Like yesterday, they had a show of Death of a Salesman. the Theaterian. There's this group called theatrical group called Theaterian. They had a show yesterday. I was thinking of going, but this unrest situation and strike, it's just so tough to commute, and all these shows are in the evening. So yeah, I didn't go. So I feel sad that I didn't go, but it's okay. I'll see your shows. So I'm looking forward to that. Now basically, since section 1 took Dr. Foster's, I would encourage you to go with any of the other 3 plays. So you have Oedipus, you have Way of the World, and you have Death of the Salesman. Now, another thing before you make a decision, I would like to, I would like you to think about in which play do you think you can make it more appealing to the audience. Say, audience usually prefer a play which connects more with the audiences, um, which is more performative. It can happen that you have some scopes for live music, live dancing, then it becomes more attractive to the audience. So you can just keep these things in mind when you choose a drama. Farzana?
Ma'am, this is just an opinion. I guess, as you say, the play will connect with the contemporary world. I guess Way of the World will be a good option, or whatever you guys chose.
I mean, I
Oh,
also feel the same because it's a comedy. It might be more relatable and like the audience might enjoy more.
okay. Anand?
Ma'am, how many members will be in each group for this alternative performance?
In each group, you'll have 5 to 6 members.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Hmm. So let me just, yeah. So basically, now I need you all to vote. Let's start with Oedipus Rex. Is there anyone who wants to go with Oedipus Rex? You can raise your hand. Miftahul, Fariha. Okay. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 votes for Oedipus Rex. Okay, I'm locking that. So Oedipus gets 16. Okay, lower your hands. Now for the Way of the World. How many hands? Way of the World, 9, 10, 11. 10 hands for Way of the World. 11, 12, 13. Okay, so I got 13 for Way of the World. So I can see that Oedipus won. Now I have something to add to that. Um, in the last, if I give reference to the last semester, in last semester, the Way of the World, the section which did the Way of the World, they did a very good job. in Way of the World, one thing is this, that in Way of the World you need to work more because there are a lot of characters and you cannot pick. I mean, it's hard to pick one particular scene. You'd rather maybe have to mix and merge and customize, improvise, and pick from here and there. So there is a lot of work in the Way of the World. In case of in case of Oedipus Rex, you can choose one particular scene, maybe the last scene, or maybe the scene only where the story is revealed about the past of Oedipus. So in that sense, you have less characters in Oedipus unless and until you think about the chorus. And well, Oedipus, in case of Oedipus, maybe there are less scopes for singing or dancing, but maybe you can just have a background music. But on the other hand, in case of Way of the World, it can be more entertaining. The costume, you have a lot of work, you have a lot of options to work on the costumes. And I remember one very good thing that once one group did for Way of the World. They literally composed their own music. I mean, they starting from the lyrics. So they wrote the lyrics for this particular play, and then they composed the music as well, which was very interesting. And then you have a lot of characters in The Way of the World. The Way of the World can be interesting in that sense. So today, we are going to finish The Way of the World, the last act which was left. So after finishing this, the last act, so I'll give you, I mean, you'll get some more 10 minutes to make your final decision. So the final decision for which play you want to work on, I'll take another head count after finishing The Way of the World. Yes, Stila?
Ma'am, what if there's going to be 5 or 6 group, right? But what if each group contains about more than 5 or 6 people, because some might have the same interest in that particular group. In that case, what how we are gonna separate group members?
Um, so there are total 6 groups, and you can see I have that in mind as well. You have around 40 students in this section. So for 40 students, 6 into 6 is 36. You still have 4 left, right? So there are particular groups depending on which play, basically depending on which play. It might happen that in group uh, 4 and 5, you might need more performers. Or it might happen that, say, for example, some groups like group one, 5 to 6 members is enough. You do not need more than 5 members. For group 6, you also do not need more than 5 or 6 members. But the other groups, they might need more than 5 and 6 members. So once the registration is done, we will have to divide them. You might need a little bit of shuffling. So we'll keep that in mind, and that can be solved. No problem. Okay.
Ma'am, will you help us to do that? Because if we
Yes, yes, I
students
will.
try to make the whole thing,
Hmm.
process the whole thing, then there
I
might
know.
be
That is
some
why
problem.
that is why I said that I will do the registration in the class. That is what I usually
Okay.
do. But if you
Okay, ma'am.
think that you want to make a primary list, I mean, you can do that. But the final list will be made in the next class. So
All
once
right,
I
ma'am.
approve the list, you can start working on it. Okay? Because
Okay,
it,
ma'am.
it might happen that you have the same interest. This might happen,
Yes, ma'am.
but this is where you need to compromise a little. You need to see where you can contribute more. Okay, no problem with that. This especially happens, it happens, I have also seen that maybe there are students who sing, who dances, but are a little shy. So in these cases, this is where you need to encourage your friends as well, that no, go for it. And another thing is, um, well, it depends on which group and what you are uh, producing. I remember there were multiple times when there were students who never spoke a single word in the class, who performed very uh, you know what I would say, who performed, um, I don't want to say bad, but whose scores were a little low in mid or quiz. And then when they come to me, I suggest them that no, go for performers group. Why? Because that gives you some confidence. You work with the your other friends, and no matter what, you can say one or two dialogues up on stage. And there are students who scored less in the other exams, but in alternate assessment got full marks, got 15 out of 15. So you need to make sure that you are in the right group, and you need to make sure that you contribute to whatever you are assigned with, and you work on it. Okay, so this is very important. Like this is both for presentation and for alternate assessment. These are the two very important scopes of this course where you can score 10 on 10, where you can score, like, you should keep, as I said, you should keep at least 85% is the lowest. So it means that in presentation, you should always aim for 8.5 plus. It's a 10 marks presentation. Your score must be 8.5 plus. So, you have to work on your content. You have to be confident when you're sharing. You need to work on a slide, good slide. You need to show some visuals and make it engaging. Then in case of alternate assessment as well, do something by yourself. If it's a 15 mark assessment, you're going to get 12.5 by default if you have worked on it. Okay, so these are the scopes where marks come. I mean, these are basically the cheat codes for this course, that this is how you do well. Okay, so we are already running out of time and it's already late. My God, let's just finish the way of the world. Let's see how far we can do. We're just left with the last last act. Now coming back to the letter, so who can tell me what was there in the letter? Who sent that letter?
Mrs.
Mrs.
Marvel.
Marwar.
Harwood.
Mrs. Marwood. Good. So Mrs. Marwood sent
Lady
that letter to
Whisper.
whom? Lady Wishford.
Lady
And what was
Wishford.
You as
there?
well.
What
Lady
was
Wishford.
there in
Lady
that
Wishford.
letter?
The thing
Fatima?
that
Fatima?
About Mr. Ronald.
and the scheme of Mirabelle as well.
Right. So that letter was by Mrs. Marwood to Lady Wishford, which informed that Mirabelle, schemed, and we also see that the fact that Waitwell is disguised as Sir Roland. So basically, Lady Wishford has been tricked. This was informed. And now, as the Act 5 starts, Act 5 is that particular act where all the characters who were scattered so far, they all come together. So it also reveals the resolution, what happens, how is the entire thing solved. Everything comes here, or everything is resolved in this particular act. So when Act 5 starts, we see that Lady Wishford is having a dialogue with Foible, and Lady Wishford is mad at Foible because she sees that Foible, who she had believed or thought of to be a very loyal servant, is actually a part of the scheme. So she gets very angry and she says that, out of my house, you viper. So thou serpent, have I fostered. So basically, the fact that Dudh Kola De Shap Posha just came into reality over here, and she was almost kicked out. And then she keeps on begging to Lady Wishford for, and she tries to defend herself as well. See, she says, this is an interesting thing what she says. She says that Mr. Mirabelle seduced me. Uh, and then she says, your ladyship's own wisdom has been deluded by him. Then how should I, a poor ignorant, defend myself? So this is an interesting defense mechanism. She says that, I have been seduced by Mirabelle, and you, who are so learned, educated, you're a ladyship, you were also tricked. So you can understand it's all Mirabelle's fault. So basically, that's how she tries to save herself. Then in this particular act, one very important part is where Fainal reveals what he wants to to Lady Wishfort. So this is, I think, is it here? Find it where it is. I have it marked on my book, but let's see. Can I see it over here? Here, in this particular scene. So this is an important one where Fainal basically tells Lady Wishfort that he knows of what Lady Wishfort has been doing, the fact that Lady Wishfort fell in love with a servant. So also he threatens Lady Wishfort that he's going to divorce Arabella, as they had been discussing, Fainal and Mrs. Marwood. So this is where Fainal blackmails Lady Wishfort. So the first thing that he says is, um, I'm going to divorce Arabella. I'm going to let everyone know. I mean, let all the people in the society know that you had been having an affair with a servant. So basically, this is a matter of reputation now, a social reputation. And what Fainal wants in return is Fainal wants all the money of Lady Wishfort and Arabella and Millamant. So basically, Fainal wants everything from Lady Wishfort, and he adds another important thing, which is Lady Wishfort can never marry. Because if Lady Wishfort marries, then once again the money will go to some other men, and Fainal does not want that. So Fainal adds a condition that you are never to marry. And then he also says, as you can see the dialogue over here, Lady Wishfort says never to marry, and then Fainal says, no more Sir Rowlands. The next imposture may not be so timely detected. So, he says that you can never marry, but if there happens such a situation where you need to marry, that marriage has to be prescribed by me. So basically, it's a very hilarious situation where the son-in-law tells the mother-in-law that you can never marry, and if you have to marry, then you'll need my consent. Otherwise, I'm going to ruin your reputation and everything. So now Lady Wishfort is in such a situation that Lady Wishfort is handicapped, and Lady Wishfort falls in the trap that Fainal has set. And this is where Mirabelle comes to the rescue. So here we see eventually Mirabelle comes, and Mirabelle, we will see that, wait, well, Mirabelle's servant is standing with a box of writings. So he has a box, and this box has the solution to all the problems of Lady Wishfort. So Mirabelle gives this condition that if I solve all your problems, then you must give consent in my and Milament's marriage. So he basically says that he's going to save Lady Wishfort, and in return, he's going to get married to Milament. So what happens, or what is there in this box, is another treaty, a deed, a contract that was between Mirabelle and Arabella. So this goes way back. This goes before Arabella was married to Fainal. And in this contract, we come to know that Arabella had already given all her property, all her money to Mirabelle. So Mirabelle, from the very start, he's very clever, he's very intelligent. So he was from the very start aware of the fact that Fainal is marrying Arabella. I mean, of course, he manipulated Fainal to marry Arabella for money. So Mirabelle was not that bad. He was not that evil. So he comes out, or he, portrays as a good character over here, because he also plans this. He, he has all the property of Arabella now, because Arabella signed that contract. And during that signing of that contract, they had two witnesses, and the two witnesses are Petulant and Whitwood. Now, Petulant and Whitwood, there again, you see minor characters, but they become very significant over here because they were the witnesses of this very important contract. But they were drunk back when they signed, or when they were, when they signed up as witnesses. So they don't remember what had happened. So again, a very tricky situation. So so finally, Mirabel brings out that contract, and Mirabel says that, Fainal, ha ha ha, it's on you. So you cannot have what Arabella has, because all those are under my name. So this solves the problem, and then Mirabel stands out to be a hero, because Mirabel returns back all these properties to Arabella upon one condition, and the condition is this, that Fainal cannot divorce Arabella. And of course, Lady Wishfort is now uh, saved, because it's not going to hamper her reputation, since her daughter is not going to get a divorce. And on the other hand, you know, um, as a gift, basically, Mirabel is now going to marry Millamant. And the last part of this play, this dialogue, is very significant, as you can see. This dialogue comes from Mirabel, and he says that, "From hence let those be warned who mean to wed, lest mutual falsehood stain the bridal bed. For each deceiver to his cost may find that marriage frauds too often are paid in kind." So here comes in a very interesting situation as well, because we see that Arabella and Fainal, they're still married, but they both are aware of the fact that they do not love each other. So they're married here just for the sake of the societies, just for the sake of the social institution. So it's a mask that they put on. And at the same time, so this is the falsehood that stains the bridal bed. And at the same time, we have these two characters, Mirabel and Millamant, who are now going to marry. So, the importance of marriage, the importance of social reputation, and how everything surrounds is so much manipulated by money and fortune. All these things come together in this particular last dialogue. And this brings us to the end of The Way of the World. In the next class, we will continue with, talking a little. We won't start Death of a Salesman in the next class. We will uh, talk about The Way of the World, just some general discussions, talk about the type of questions